before the lesson, it's time for today's sponsor, I Wish I Had. And unfortunately for the video audience, I do not have a can of this, but there is a company that produces bubbles, champagne bubbles, which is some of my favorites. Same with my wife. They are called Underwood, and they produce bubbles in a variety of ways, but my favorite way that they do it is in a 12-ounce can. And they also have Pinot Noir in a can, I think Chardonnay in a can or something. But the Underwood Bubbles, it's a can, and it is one of my favorite things. It's incredibly budget friendly. It's like $5 or $6 a can, 12 ounces, so basically 2 glasses. And the reason that I like this so much is because my wife and I have used this a million times going with other friends. We have some great friends that we always go to the Arboretum. Used to go to the Arboretum with when we lived in Dallas, like this big outdoor area with lots of flowers and decorations and everything. You kind of make a makeshift picnic or whatever, but these cans are perfect because you just crack them open instead of bringing a huge bottle of bubbly. And with glass and everything, it's just aluminum cans and you can recycle them afterwards. So I highly recommend, if you can find them in the store, should be available at any grocery store, at a Total Wine, maybe at some liquor stores. Underwood Bubbles. Check them out. Today's sponsor, I Wish I Had. All right, and now it's time for today's Just the Tip. And this is another food-related Just the Tip. And today I'm going to talk about something that's kind of related in theory to what I talked about a few weeks ago, which is, hey, if you wanted to salt your food or pepper your food or add those salt or peppery notes to whatever you're cooking, you can incorporate not just salt and pepper, but you can incorporate foods that have saltier notes like olives or pepperier notes like arugula. So for this Just the Tip, I'm talking about when you are making smoothies, which is something I love to do, and I'll throw a YouTube video up at some point on the smoothie that I make all the time. A lot of people do this one thing and it drives me nuts. They put ice in their smoothie. Now that seems totally logical. And if you have a chain location like a Smoothie King or something like that, they've got standardized recipes so they account for how much ice is going in when they blend or whatever. I'm not talking about that. But if you're making a smoothie at home, or even if you're a small restaurant or whatever and you're making smoothies, putting ice in your smoothie does two things. You think it freezes it, but it actually makes it more of a slushy. And then you think it adds volume, and it does, but it also dilutes what you're doing because you're adding ice, which last time I checked is frozen water. So what I recommend is, instead of using ice, similar to what I mentioned about the salty foods and the peppery foods, is instead of using ice, use foods that are frozen, like frozen blueberries or frozen bananas or frozen strawberries, something like that, frozen spinach. Use frozen foods to help make the smoothie frozen. And then for your emulsifier, to make it nice and blend and have a nice creamy texture and mouthfeel to it, think about stuff like using an avocado or even some peanut butter. And a lot of people will put peanut butter in, but if you have a nut allergy, and also peanut butter tastes like peanut butter, avocado has a very, very mild taste. So you grab some fresh avocado, use like a fourth of an avocado if it's like a normal size, not one of those giant ones the size of this microphone. But if it's a normal size avocado, cut it in 4, use about a fourth of the avocado, and have that in there with frozen blueberries, which is the smoothie I make, avocado, frozen blueberries, some protein powder, and some almond milk, and you end up getting a really, really nice cold smoothie that has a great texture all the way through. It's super smooth and creamy and velvety, as opposed to if you throw a bunch of ice in there, the smoothie's going to get cold, it's going to be frozen or more like a smoothie, but it's just extra water. It's going to dilute the taste of the other stuff you put in there, and it's not emulsified, so it'll start to separate. So I say skip the ice, add frozen foods in small pieces when you're putting it in a blender, and then for your emulsifier, you can add something like peanut butter. I prefer adding avocado because it's a much milder taste. Prepare to be amazed. Today's Just the Tip.
Okay, and now it's time for today's Whisper In. And today's Whisper In is going to be for people that live closer to where I live, which is in the Phoenix, Arizona area. There is a liquor store, and it is not like other liquor stores. It is the greatest liquor store I have ever been in. And even if you don't live in the Phoenix area, you will want to hear this. The name of this liquor store is called Trevor's. It is the most unbelievable place I have been into because when you walk in, not only is it one of the nicest liquor stores you've ever been in, with one of the best selections you've ever been in, but that is only less than half of the story, because at the back of the liquor store, which is one of the nicest liquor stores we've been in the back is a fully glassed in cigar lounge that is also a full service bar and restaurant, which is also one of the nicest places you will enjoy a cigar. It has giant glass windows facing the inside, and on the outside it has the roller garage doors to open up to the fresh air. That is awesome. But again, that's not the half of it. The other literal half of the establishment is a multiple bar setup with great craft cocktails and bourbons and all of that stuff, which I love. Right behind that is a kitchen with a pizza oven, and they make fresh pizzas and sandwiches and charcuterie boards, which I love. And then behind that are two giant PGA approved golf simulator bays with TVs and couches and chairs and full service of bar and restaurant, which I love. And then on the other side is a giant patio with more TVs and a built-in fireplace and a bunch of great seating and great views of the mountains, which I love. So, if you live in the Phoenix or Scottsdale area, you need to go to Trevor's. It is the greatest place in the world. And if you do not live in the Phoenix or Scottsdale area, you need to take an airplane here and go to Trevor's and then do some golf while you're at it. Trevor's, today's Whisper In.